Welcome back to the Sherwood Urban Farm. In today's video, we are growing carrots in containers. This is specifically for people who do not have a lot of space. Maybe you don't have a garden and a big backyard or whatever. You just got a balcony and you think, oh, I can't grow anything. I've just got a little balcony. No, you can. You can grow carrots in 20-liter buckets, and I'm going to show you how. Right, so like I said, these are 20-liter buckets. The soil that I've used in these buckets is actually from the paths when I had needed to replace the wood chips on the path because they had broken down to such a degree that they needed replacing. It was really just compost almost on the ground. But carrots like to have sort of quite a fine kind of sandy kind of, they don't really like a lot of nutrients and stuff, because if you have too many nutrients in your planting material, then the carrots are going to have a lot of greens and not a nice big root. So I am not really big on amendments and stuff for soil, because really what you're doing is you're feeding the soil, not the plant. So I don't do all of that. What I do is I will have any kind of normal just sandy soil type of stuff, and I fill my buckets with that. So then what I do is I scatter the seed over. So I take it in my hand and I just sort of sprinkle it like you would sprinkle some kind of herbs or something over your pizzas, just a little bit like that. There we go. This is the Nantes variety. Another nice variety is Javelin, but I don't always find that. This was given to me by a market gardener. Then I will take some compost. The compost is sort of quite fine, and I'll just sprinkle that over about 2 centimeters. You know, they're very small seeds, so you don't want it too thickly spread, but about 2 centimeters is just fine. And then wet this again. It's a bit awkward now. There we go. And you don't have to fill the whole bucket with the soil. I mean, I've got about a 10 centimeter gap at the top here, and that's fine. There we go, and that's it. So now you can either cover it with the newspaper and then you wet the newspaper, but I find as long as I keep it moist, they germinate just fine. I mean, that's a lot. There's a lot of carrots in there. I will definitely have to thin that out. I have been harvesting from these buckets. I've probably harvested, I don't know, there's probably about 15 carrots per bucket, so it really works very well in the buckets. So what I have done previously to ensure even germination is I have scattered the seeds over, covered them with a light sort of like maybe 2 centimeters of compost. Then after I'd watered that, then I actually took some newspaper and I sort of shoved it in over the top, on top of the soil, on top of the compost. And then when I would water, I would just water on top of that newspaper, which would then ensure that the soil's moisture is constant, so that you get even germination. But that being said, I mean, it worked fine. It was fine. That's how I did these ones. Then recently I just scattered the seed over, and I then put the little layer of compost over it, and then I just made sure that I kept it wet. So almost daily I would water it, because you really don't want it to dry out. And if you have a look here, I suppose there is a little bit of patchy germination. That could also be my poor seed sowing ability. Right, so now you can have a look at the germination of this bucket. Now you can see they're already starting to come out with their true leaves, and it is very thickly sown here. So what I will do now is I'll come through with a little scissor. Right, so I'll have a look, see which ones are too close. So this is like a whole bunch here. I will leave 2 just in case, and then just cut off. And I'll come back again and see which one was the stronger one of those two. If you pull it out, sometimes what happens is then you pull out the good, or the one that you wanted to keep as well. Yeah, you don't have to do it all in one go either. You come and you just sort of thin it out and see how it goes, because I've also had it where maybe a slug or something comes and then starts to help with the thinning, and then that wasn't helpful at all because I did my thinning already and I didn't need their help. So I just sort of almost gradually thin them out. But the scissor method is very nice because, like I say, you can often pull up the one that you want to keep. And I'm gonna ensure sort of like 2 fingers between each carrot so that they will have enough space to grow. That's what I did with these buckets. And at one point I thought, oh, now I'm not going to get enough carrots, because normally I don't thin carrots out. Like if I grow them in the ground, I've had really good success, and they didn't. They grew well, and I didn't thin them out. As they were growing, I would always just harvest the biggest ones. But I found with this method, because I was trying to see, is it going to make a difference whether I thin them out or not? And in this method it did help that I did thin it out, because I did get really nice carrots. And then here you can have a look close up to see the sort of distance that we're talking about here once they get bigger. I mean, you can actually even go probably closer than this. These look almost like they're 5 centimeters apart, or those ones are closer. And then you can harvest the biggest ones. You just have a look around like that and see which ones are the biggest ones. I wonder if this one is maybe, yeah. See, so I'm going to pull this one out. Okay, this one is not very big. It looked big on the top. That happens. Oh, look at that. I mean, that's a really nice carrot. There's just one thing that you must keep in mind when you are growing in containers, is that you're going to need to check that they are moist more often than you would if it was something that's just growing in the soil, because they're contained and they can't get their water from anywhere else. So that is something to consider. You must just make sure that you do keep it nice and moist, and a really good watering, because what I've learned from my dad actually is to get nice long carrots is that you want to water it nice and deep. And so you can let the top dry out, like the top 2 centimeters dry out, and that's fine. But just make sure that when you water that you don't just go on the top. You've got to go and make sure that it is properly deep, because then it encourages the taproot, which is the carrot, to go down deep and long. Otherwise you end up with little short carrots, because that's what I was getting for years. And my dad grows the most amazing carrots, and he said you need to make sure that you water nice and deep. Even if your carrots are in the soil, in the ground, it's the same thing. You're going to make sure that you rather give them a good deep watering instead of just a light watering on the top, because then they're not going to send down the carrot roots nice and deep. So this is just a little short video on how to grow carrots in containers. I know a lady who grows carrots in the cinder blocks, those, I call them air bricks. She has the sort of wider one, and then she does almost exactly the same thing. She will grow her carrots in there. She gets amazing carrots. So even in a smaller container, maybe one possibly about this deep, you could even, I have a 5 liter container I've grown carrots in. But I must say this method in the 20 liter containers has been much more successful. My carrots have been longer than the ones that I grew in the 5 liter. That also being said, maybe it was because I didn't thin those ones out, because I left them and then they got aphids and whatever. So thinning them out, that they're about two fingers apart, that's the ticket. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please share it with your friends and like and subscribe. And I hope that you have successful carrot growing and enjoy the rest of your day.